right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to December's wellness class. I'm so excited that you're here, but before we even go far, let us begin with a word of prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for the new month of December. We praise you and we glorify you because you have brought us through the whole of 2023. And here we are for the last wellness class of the year. Father, I bless your holy name. And even as we are about to do this class, Lord, I pray that those for whom this class is meant for will be empowered by the knowledge on frankincense, and that you're going to just help them make wiser decisions and better choices as regards our wellness, that you would help all of us steward our wellness so that we can live lives of vitality and live lives of length and enjoyable lives. In the name of Jesus, we commit the class into your hands. We commit the internet and everything that pertains to this class into your very mighty hands. Thank you, Father. We bless you. We honor you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So this is actually going to be a pre-recorded class. I had hoped that I would be able to live stream it on the 9th of December, but something has come up. So the next best option is just to premiere this as a video on YouTube. If you're watching the replay, karibuni sana. I pray that you're going to enjoy this particular presentation as much as I enjoyed just researching and learning more about frankincense. So the topic of this particular class is frankincense, and we're going to discover why it is known as the king of oils. So for those who don't know me, my name is Bri Briorata. I'm so happy that you're here. I have been using essential oils for close to 8 years. This happens to be exactly my eighth year now. And along the way, I discovered that I loved teaching people how to use essential oils as a wellness tool for every day, safely and effectively. So welcome to my little corner of the internet. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I have a whole playlist dedicated to wellness classes that I have taught from February up until today. So you can go to my YouTube and search for the playlist, and you'll have a wide range of classes that begins to show you how you can use essential oils to support different aspects of your wellness. And God willing, we shall continue with the same practice of monthly wellness classes every first Saturday of the month in 2024. All right, so before we go really far, I just want to let you know that this is an informational webinar. It's not intended to replace proper medical care. And this information is peculiar to doTERRA essential oils because that is what I have used consistently for the last 8 years. And that is what I know. So I encourage you to make healthcare decisions based on diligent research and in partnership with a qualified healthcare practitioner. That said, if you love essential oils, whether you're starting out or whether you've been doing this for a long time, and you just want to get a bit more information about essential oils, welcome, you're in the right place. I teach people how to use essential oils for different things. And like this class today, we are doing a spotlight on a particular essential oil. And so you're all welcome. There's a space for you here, and I pray that you're going to get an information nugget that will help you just take your wellness with the seriousness that it deserves. So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to talk about the historical uses of Frankie. We're going to talk about the chemistry and the therapeutic properties of Frankie that make it known as the king of oils. And then now we're going to conclude by discussing how to use frankincense in everyday wellness. So one of the things that we want to start with, let me see if I can move this. Yes, I can. Oh, perfect. Okay, let me see if I can, yeah, but I can't see myself. That's not very useful. No. Oh, okay, that's not very useful. I'll go back to that. Okay, all right, that'll have to do, but we're going to start here. So frankincense is actually, I'm going to start by just defining a couple of names that I found. So we have frankincense, which is pure incense in French. In Hebrew, it is known as levona. It is also known as olibena. It is known as luban in Arabic, and I believe it is lubani in Kiswahili. We have Libanos in Greek, and in Ethiopian, it is known as etan. And so Exodus, one of the things I also want to mention that will be very important is my approach to teaching essential oils is based on the word of God. I am a Christian. I profess Jesus. And so it has been a very interesting exploration for me to understand the connection between some of these oils from the Bible. And so I did a class in October on ancient oils of the Bible. It is listed on the YouTube channel. So if you would like, you can also just go and take a look at that class. It was very fascinating to begin to unravel and connect the dots between essential oils, plants, and wellness. So I'm just going to make references, two particular references to frankincense as we see it in the Bible. The most popular reference, obviously, is when the three wise men from the east came and presented baby Jesus with the gifts of frankincense, myrrh, and there were three: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And gold is made reference in the Bible. We also see references to myrrh, and then we also have a reference to frankincense. And you can read about that from Matthew chapter 2, verse 11. But in the Old Testament, from Exodus chapter 13, let me just read that here. Exodus chapter 30. Exodus chapter 30, and we're going to read in the NLT from verse 34 to 36. Then the Lord said to Moses, gather fragrant spices, resin droplets, mollusk shell, and galbanum, and mix these fragrant spices with pure frankincense, weighed out in equal amounts. Using the usual techniques of the incense maker, blend the spices together and sprinkle them with salt to produce a pure and holy incense. Grind some of the mixture into a very fine powder and put it in front of the Ark of the Covenant, where I will meet with you in the tabernacle. You must treat this incense as most holy. Never use this formula to make this incense for yourself. It is reserved for the Lord, and you must treat it as holy. Anyone who makes incense like this for personal use will be cut off from the community. And so we can see the weight that was attached to frankincense, first in the New Testament as a treasure. In fact, the Bible describes it as the three wise men brought treasures for baby Jesus. And then in the Old Testament, where it was used as part of the formulation for Frankie. And these are just the two main ones that I'm highlighting. If you go back to the essential oils of the Bible's class, you're going to find the other uses of frankincense and myrrh, among other oils. So in the olden days, in the ancient days, it was used to anoint kings, it was used as a medicine, it was used as a currency. And frankincense was very valuable then, and it is still very valuable today. So what you see on this image here is just a picture of a frankincense tree. And I want to specifically talk about doTERRA frankincense sourcing, because this forms the basis of doTERRA's frankincense essential oil blend. And I found it to be very interesting as I did research and began to have a more holistic approach to frankincense. So we're going to start here. The frankincense tree is known as the Boswellia tree, and there are different Boswellia species. So we know, and this is also, again, I find this so interesting, even just thinking about it, that when God was creating plants, he just did not create one type of plant. So for example, he didn't just create one type of tree, or he didn't create one bean. We know we have kidney beans, and we know we have rose cocoa beans, we know we have gray beans, we know we have butter beans, we know we have black beans. So within the species that is a bean, there are so many varieties. Just the same way with what, for example, eucalyptus. there is no just one type of eucalyptus. So within the eucalyptus family, they're like eucalyptus brothers and sisters, eucalyptus siblings. We've got eucalyptus globulus, eucalyptus radiata, we've got eucalyptus conchi. From the lavender family, we've got English lavender and French lavender and Spanish lavender. So it is so fascinating to me, number one, that you just don't have one type of plant. Like within a family of a plant, there's so many siblings related. So the same thing with frankincense. There is within the family of frankincense, there are frankincense brothers and frankincense sisters. And the different frankincense species thrive in different environments and soil types. So for example, Boswellia cateri grows best in sandy soil, and Boswellia freeliana grow best in dry, rocky terrain. And then we also know that like there's a difference in the fruit. So just the same way a black bean is black and a kidney bean, for example, looks like a kidney, is actually shaped like a kidney, and it's bigger and broader. With Boswellia, the Boswellia species, the resin that is produced also tends to be different. So we've got the freeliana, which produces the largest size of all the species. So what doTERRA has done is that, number one, doTERRA has a unique sourcing model, which means they go to the country where the tree or the plant does best. So you will not, the frankincense that would be produced, say, from Iceland, would be very different from the frankincense that would be produced from Somalia. And we know that the different plants do best in certain conditions. Not to say they cannot grow elsewhere, it's just to say that there are certain areas that are better suited for some of these things. So for example, olive oil, we know olive trees grow best in the Mediterranean region. That is not to say that olive trees would not grow in Kenya, but the quality of the oil would be very different because it would be dictated, number one, by climate, number two, by soil, number three, obviously, by the agricultural practices around it. So what we're trying to say is doTERRA's sourcing model just takes advantage of the fact that certain plants grow best in certain conditions and that you get the optimum oil from optimum growing conditions. So what doTERRA has done for its frankincense is it has sourced from multiple locations. And because they are taken from different locations, the chemical profile would be very different. But they have found that by combining these different frankies from different locations, from different species, when they come together, they form a very unique synergy, a unique harmony, a unique chemical profile of Frankie essential oils as distilled from the different Boswellia trees. I hope that's very clear. As I'm looking at the sentence here on the slide, I'm like, oh, that's such a mouthful, but I hope I have broken it down in a way that makes sense. This particular strategy also means that we do not over-harvest from one area. So I'll give the example of French lavender. We all know that French lavender grows well either in France or in Bulgaria because the climatic conditions are somewhat similar. So assume with me for a moment that we could only get lavender oil from France. And because the demand for lavender is so great, is so massive, it's not sustainable. It gets to a point now where we will most probably deplete the supply of lavender in the quest to fulfill the demand. So one of the more sustainable ways to manage this, to manage over harvesting, would be to find alternative sources. And so by so doing, you help reduce environmental pressure, number one, on any single plant. And then number two, you take advantage of the therapeutic and chemical qualities that are present from a similar plant, not necessarily a same plant, but a similar plant. And if you combine them, then you can develop and come up with a synergy that works even better. I think that's also just pretty smart and pretty cool. And it's something that is interesting for those who are interested in sustainability. Of course, we should all be interested in sustainability of the earth and just stewarding the earth's resources in a way that ensures reproduction, that ensures continuity without necessarily depleting and causing harm. Yeah. So I want you to just bear that in mind, just to understand the sourcing of frankincense and how doTERRA's blend has come about. So over here, I got some images of the different boswellias. So doTERRA sources from 4 species of frankincense, and this information is actually available. If you just search doTERRA frankincense sourcing, you'll be able to see, there's even a video if you'd like to see that. But so they source Boswellia papyrifera from Ethiopia. Just take a look at how the resin look almost like whitish, and then look at Boswellia sacra from Oman, and these ones are slightly smaller. Then we've got Boswellia fririana and Boswellia kateri from northern Somalia. So look at how big the resin from Boswellia fririana is, and contrast that with the smaller, almost yellowish golden orange amber resin from northern Somalia. I think this is really beautiful. Just look at how different they are. So obviously we would not expect the oil to be the same. They may have similarities, but each of them are also very individual and very unique. That for me is just mind-blowing. So when we look at frankincense, surely, okay, that is not going to work. So I want you to look at this image, and this here is a frankincense tree, a boswellia tree. So we can already even begin to see that the resin here is white. And if I come back to the picture, we can clearly see that this is the Boswellia papyrifera resin, just looking at the pictures itself. So the frankincense tree, the boswellias, are hardy, but they do well in extremely arid and hot conditions. If you look at where they are sourced from, Ethiopia, Oman, northern Somalia, these regions are characteristically hot and arid. So we would not necessarily expect to find Frankie trees growing in somewhere like Mount Kenya or somewhere like France, a place that receives much more rainfall. Not to say they would not grow, but they would not flourish, because Frankie trees are like acacia trees, which do best in arid or hot conditions. So frankincense essential oil is extracted by steam distilling the oleo resin, the gum resin. And resin, when you make a cut on a tree, or even when you make a cut on a plant, you will notice a white, I want to call it white, but it's not white in all cases, but you will notice a sap-like substance that kind of oozes out of the plant. Now, the work of that sap is really to protect the plant. It is a protective mechanism that quickly runs to that spot and does what it needs to do so that it can protect the plant from further damage. So what happens is they have to score the tree, they have to cut the tree, and then the not white, but the sap-like substance, which has a high viscosity, oozes out of the tree. And then when it dries up, it forms what is known as a tear, right? And so the harvesters are going to come and scrape off, once it has solidified, they will come and scrape off this resin. And this is then what goes to be steam distilled to produce frankincense essential oil. Now, some of the things I found that were very interesting is that for every amount of resin that they steam distill, they will only get about 2% to 4% yield of essential oil. So the resin, of course, is very useful, and that's what communities in the Arab nations, for example, burn. They literally burn the frankincense resin, and then the vapors are what they use. But if you want to get the essential oil, you have to steam distill it, and you're going to get a very low yield. So for every 100 grams of resin that they distill, they will get between 2 to 4 grams of frankincense essential oil. And I say that so that we can begin to appreciate the complex and sometimes very delicate and very intensive process behind extraction of essential oils. It is not, there has to be a lot of careful thought given to it. This reminds me of floral extraction of floral oils. Floral oils are very, number one, flowers are very delicate. Number two, you need a huge amount of flower material for you to be able to get a decent yield of oil. And it's a very expensive process until such a time as the distillation process has become more streamlined and more efficient. For now, we know it takes almost, say, 10,000 flower petals to give you 5 ml of rose essential oil. And so when you hear that some of these oils are really expensive, please bear in mind that the amount of plant material needed could be prohibitive, not prohibitive, but could be, it would take a lot to produce very little high quality essential oils. So for the frankincense tree, they have to make sure that the incisions are carefully made. Before, it used to be that people were very careless about it. The harvesters were very careless, number one, because it was fueled by a demand for frankincense essential oil. So people would just cut the way they wanted. And what that does is it harms the plant. It harms the boswellia tree. So now, as developments have continued to emerge, the harvesters are being encouraged to make careful incisions so that they can almost ensure the life of the plant for hundreds of years, and that makes it sustainable. These are some of the little things, the little details that sets doTERRA apart, because you have to think long term. So okay, so assuming we made incisions in all the frankincense trees now, and in our lifetime, frankincense trees become almost extinct because of our carelessness. What happens to the future generations who would not be able then to enjoy the benefits, the therapeutic benefits of Frankie because of our carelessness? Those are just some of the few things that I'd like you to think about as we proceed with this particular class. So as you can see from the picture on the left, this is just a picture of Frankie trees. You can see the terrain around which it's growing. You can see it's dry, it's arid, it doesn't have much vegetation. But yes, the Frankie trees are sturdy and they're thriving. That is where they thrive most, okay? And then on the picture on the right, this is the harvesting and the sorting of the Frankie resin. So it has to be graded, it has to be sorted out, it has to be cleaned. Like, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes before we can even see the final product in the form of Frankie essential oil. So I believe these pictures are very important for us to see so that we appreciate the effort. Number one, that even before we get to the point of extraction, the behind the scenes work requires a lot of effort, a lot of I don't want to say, let me just say it requires a lot. It's almost like a labor of love. It's labor intensive, as you can see. If you've ever had to sort out pulses and beans for yourself, you know how that work can be a bit tedious. So this is something that we have to be cognizant about. That by the time we're getting a bottle of frankincense and essential oil, a lot has gone on behind the scenes. And so you can even see that means that if this is the location of the trees, somebody has to go and make an incision on the various trees. Somebody has to go and climb the trees and actually scrape off the resin. This goes to show you that this is not necessarily something that you can do by machine, that this still requires human effort to get it done, right? So let's talk about essential oils really. So essential oils are extracted from different plant parts. I've covered this extensively in one of my earlier classes, I believe the one from February, where I just really described what an essential oil is. But for purposes of people who are new to essential oils, these are aromatic compounds that are obtained by extraction from different plant parts. Number one, essential oils are extracted from plants. You cannot have lard essential oil extracted from pig fat. you cannot have tallow, essential oil extracted from beef fat. These are aromatic compounds, which means they smell good, they are fragrant, and they are volatile, which means they evaporate quickly. Now, for plants to remain healthy, they produce what are called secondary metabolites. The primary metabolites in plants are things like starches, carbohydrates, the glucose, the sugars that a plant needs to keep it strong and vital. But the secondary metabolites are compounds that form part of the plant's immune defense mechanism. And this is what makes the symbiotic relationship between plants and human beings function. So in a plant, essential oils work to form the plant's immune defense mechanism. And when we study the compounds that are within the essential oil, they have been found to have a similar effect on human beings. That's what makes them therapeutic. It is actually the chemistry of the essential oils that makes them have wellness benefits for humans. So you can use essential oils in wellness, and they are effective because they are safe, they're extracted from plants, they are versatile, they have many uses, they are therapeutic, which means they affect different body systems, they work relatively fast, but it's also very systemic, meaning you have to use it over time. And they are also natural. When we talk about Frankie, one of the things that happens is when you open a bottle of Frankie, you will notice that Frankie is warm. It's like it has such a complex scent profile. And at different times, you will pick up different things. This is what I also really love about essential oils. You can open a bottle of an oil, and when you smell it today, you pick up one profile. When you open it the next day, you pick up another aspect. So frankincense will oscillate between being warm, spicy, herbal, balsamic. Of late, what I've really been feeling when I open a bottle of frankincense is I get the balsamic aroma, and then it has a very rich scent. And like for me, I know when I open a bottle of frankincense, I can't have it next to me for too long because I feel like it's just too much. But there's some people, when they smell frankincense, they immediately they quickly settle. And this was very interesting because I did I facilitated an essential oil experience during a workshop, and we were smelling frankincense. And it was so fascinating for me to watch how some people would smell the oil and they would immediately settle. Others would feel as if they were ready to go and do some work. But for me, it was almost off-putting. I found it to be a little bit too much. Not to say I don't like frankincense, but at that particular time, it just smelled too much. So what makes an essential oil therapeutic really is determined by its chemistry. That's it. And there are specific aromatic compounds which contribute to Frankie's efficacy, particularly in the immune system, in the nervous system, in the skin system, and with emotion. And so we're going to discuss this in light of chemistry. This, for me, is what makes essential oils so efficient. Science, the aromatic compounds and how they affect various body systems. So Frankie is made up of monoterpenes, sesquiterpenes, and ketones. And if you did not pay attention during chemistry, don't worry, I got you covered. And we're going to understand how each of these chemical profiles contribute to Frankie's therapeutic efficiency. So we're going to start with sesquiterpenes, and sesquiterpenes are a group of chemical compounds. Okay, perhaps for the next class, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of draw an image about that and explain in terms of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen and all that. But for today, sesquiterpenes are antimicrobial and antioxidant. They're very supportive to the immune system and they assist in cellular repair. So sesquiterpenes as a class of chemical compounds, they have been studied, and this is what they have been found to do. They are calming and they stimulate the limbic system of the brain, which is the seat of emotions and memory. And they also help to oxygenate the pineal and pituitary glands, which have to do with hormones and in the body. They increase leukocyte activity. I believe leukocyte happens to be white blood cells, if I'm not wrong. I could be mistaken. And they defend the body against infection. So sesquiterpenes, the sesquiterpene compounds are what help frankincense go beyond the blood-brain barrier and assist with brain wellness, neurological wellness, things to do with your brain and things to do with the nerves. I think just having an understanding that within Frankie essential oil, these compounds can be isolated, and then we understand that on isolation, this is what they do in the body. It's amazing. It is amazing. So Frankie also has monoterpenes, and the specific monoterpenes are alpha-pinene, beta-pinene, limonene, and alpha-2-gene. So these monoterpenes are renewing when applied topically on the skin, and they have the ability to support body cells when taken internally. So from the earlier slide, I showed you how they make an incision on the back of frankincense. Let me just make a quick confirmation here. I wanted to see if they are, okay, good. I just wanted to confirm that. Let me put this back up here. And then let me continue from where we went. Okay, perfect. All right. So we were talking about how frankincense, they make a cut on the back of the tree, and then the plant releases sap quickly so that it can act as a protective barrier for the membrane of the bark. And if we just look at it logically, the bark is the supportive outer covering of the plant. So when the resin is released, when that sap is released, it's going to quickly block any wound, because essentially an incision or a tear in a plant is a wound. So that when we look at it from that perspective, then we can clearly make the connection that frankincense would be good for protecting the outer covering of the body, which happens to be the skin. So if I have a wound, for example, and I'm bleeding and I need it to heal quickly, I would quickly run for frankincense essential oil. The other thing is that monoterpenes have the ability to support the body cells when taken internally. We have already seen how essential oils form part of the plant's immune system. So beta-pinene is the terpene that gives frankincense its unique woody, green, balsamic, and complex aromatic profile and unique scent. This is something you would have to experience for yourself so that you can, you know, the way you peel an orange and you know an orange smell, what gives orange its distinct orange smell is the chemical compound known as limonene. And limonene is a terpene. And terpenes are what give essential oils their scent profiles. So you will know that we know that citruses have a certain lightness to them. That lightness in scent is contributed to limonene. But the arrangement of the atoms and the chemical compounds in the different citrus cousins, so grapefruit, lime, clementine, orange, tangerine, they're all members of the same family, but we can say that they are cousins. They are members they are like an extended family of citrus, and orange, tangerine, grapefruit, lime, these are cousins. So they get their distinct light scent profile from limonene, but the arrangement of the molecules within that chain, that limonene terpene chain is what is different and what gives each citrus cousin a unique scent signature. So the same thing with frankincense. So Frankie has beta-pinene, and it's the arrangement of the molecules of that pinene, beta-pinene, that will give Frankie its unique scent signature. So you will find that Boswellia freriana has a slightly different scent profile than Boswellia Kateri, for example. They are like siblings, but they each have their own individual scent identity. Isn't that something so cool to think about? And so we've got alpha-2 which is commonly found in the Boswellia serrata variant. And so it may reduce inflammation, soothe indigestion, and it is excellent on the skin. So we can already begin to see that even among the monoterpene class, there is certain compounds that are found in certain species. So here we see that alpha-2 is commonly found in Boswellia serrata. And I'd like you to just keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the, okay, let me get that. There we go. The rest of the slides. So we've got alpha-pinene, and alpha-pinene is found mostly in Boswellia sacra and Boswellia cateri. And these ones here, Boswellia cateri is found in Somalia, right? And Boswellia sacra is found in Oman. So you can see by virtue of environment and where they are grown, we will find different chemical compounds. So when you have a combination of Boswellia sacra, Boswellia cateri, Boswellia furiana, Boswellia papyrifera, you can see we have already found we have alpha-2 in furiana, and now we're seeing we have alpha-pinene in sacra and cateri, and you'll find that all of them have, all of them have beta-pinene, right? So alpha-pinene is what gives frankincense its warmth, and what that means is that the frankincense then becomes nourishing and calming. It is an antioxidant and helps to open up the airways. And one of the things we know is that many cells suffer because of oxidative stress, all right? So as a result of alpha-pinene, frankincense then becomes relaxing, uplifting, and will help the mind to focus and concentrate. And this is the other cool thing I feel I have to mention at this point. So I've given you the example of how when I had a scent test, when I had a smell test with this group of ladies, some ladies felt like when they opened the bottle of frankincense, they really just wanted to go and do stuff. They really felt like focus had come. And then another group here was saying that they immediately just felt calm. And it's all because of chemistry. And the fascinating thing is, your body is a very intelligent mechanism, system at work. Even when we think about how multiple systems are working at once to keep us alive, and we understand that this is the work of somebody who's a genius. This is the work of God. And so the interaction between the essential oil molecules and our body happens so quickly that when I smell a bottle of frankincense, within 22 seconds, it has already made its way to the limbic system of my brain, within 22 seconds. And then within 2 minutes, it has already been distributed to various organs. And then within 22 minutes, it has traveled through the whole body, going to create balance and homeostasis where it is needed most. These are mysteries that only a genius could have put together very quickly. So for me, it's amazing. It's just on another level. So it's excellent on the skin and promotes healthy skin structure. And we see that even just by a basic understanding of how the sap quickly comes to a cut, quickly comes to a wound, and will help regenerate the back where the incision of the wound has been made. All right, so it also has limonene, and we can see that limonene is found mostly in the Boswellia serrata variant, and limonene is what gives us that citrusy, clean, sweet undertone that is so characteristic of citrus fruits, and it is good for it to help soothe indigestion, and it is also an antioxidant. And then we have acetyl acetate. This is found in Boswellia papyrifera, which is sourced from Ethiopia. And this is fruity, floral, green, mildly woody undertone. It is a topical anti-inflammatory and analgesic. So a topical anti-inflammatory means it is best used on the skin. And analgesic means it is targeted pain relief. And we're going to discuss that when we're talking about the therapeutic properties of frankincense. So as a result of this complex chemical interaction. So we know that the individual whose villas carry certain chemical compounds. And when we bring them all together, then we have acetyl acetate from papyrifera, we've got limonene from serrata, we've got alpha-pinene from sacra and cateri, and then we've got alpha-thujine from serrata. We combine all these chemical compounds and we get what is now a synergy that is so unique and so chemically complex and so complex in terms of scent, and this makes a whole world of difference to the final product. I hope that has really just carefully and systematically laid out for you what doTERRA frankincense is made out of. The science for me is just interesting. So let's go into Frankie's therapeutic properties. We've said that the chemistry is what gives us the therapeutic properties. And one of the characteristics of frankincense is it's known as a healing oil, and it is known for head to toe wellness. So this is something that ancient communities knew before science caught up. And now that science has started catching up, it has started exposing through research how frankincense affects different body systems. We've seen it affects the brain because of the sesquiterpenes. We have seen it is renewing on skin because of the alpha-pinene and the monoterpenes. We've seen that its scent is a result of terpenes. We have seen it is good for focus. So frankincense has been known for head to toe wellness. So it is an analgesic. In Omani culture, it was used for pain relief, and they would use it works best and most efficiently topically, meaning on the skin. I will share with you an example of what that would look like in everyday wellness. Like all essential oils, it is an adaptogenic. And what that means is it helps the body adapt to stress, and it will restore balance after a stressful situation. And so because of biofeedback between the cells of the body and the cells of the compound and the cells of the aromatic compounds in the plant, and this very complex communication that goes on between essential oil compounds and the body's cells, when you introduce an essential oil, it will just help your body adapt and it will restore balance. So where something is high, it has the opportunity to bring it down. And where something is low, it has the ability to push it up. Our bodies were created to work at a certain level of balance and homeostasis. So it is an anti-tumoral action, which means it has an anti-proliferative effect. Proliferation means something spreading. So if it is an anti-proliferative, it means it stops the spread of tumors by stimulating programmed cell death, apoptosis. So if you want, there is research concerning, and I found a very interesting paper that just really went in depth into some of these things. It's a sedative, it promotes calm. So when some people will smell it and their body needs to calm down, frankincense essential oil is a sedative because of, let us find that. We have here the alpha-pinene, which is nourishing and calming, warm, relaxing, and uplifting. All right. It's antiseptic, antimicrobial, antibacterial, and it prevents the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. We go back to making incisions on the back. The reason the sap comes out is to protect the plant. Protect it from what? Protect it from, from microorganisms that would attack the plant and cause disease. So that action is replicated in the human body. It is anticatarrhal and it suppresses catarrh, which is the buildup of mucus. So if you have a cold or you have a lot of mucus building up, you would probably want to either diffuse or steam with something like frankincense and eucalyptus together, or frankincense and lemon. You want to get essential oils which have been known to have anticatarrhal properties. All right, it's an expectorant. It will offer relief for dry coughs. It will help stop mucus from building up in the respiratory system. It will help soothe inflammation from a sore throat or a cough. It's an immunostimulant and it strengthens immunity. It is and this one I found to be very interesting. It's an immunomodulator, which means it will stimulate an underproductive immune system, which allows illness to creep in, while relaxing an overproductive immune system, which attacks itself, or benign substances with inflammation, often becoming painful, chronic, and debilitating. So there is research, there's scientific research to kind of back these therapeutic claims up. And remember that these therapeutic claims, these therapeutic properties are not regulated, are powered. Yes, are powered by chemical compounds that are found and have been studied from the essential oils. So I found this frankincense research and I thought it was very interesting. This is by a man who has quickly become a famous frankincense researcher. And he's been able to uncover some pretty profound findings. For example, frankincense oil derived from Boswellia cateri induces blood tumor cells, and Boswellia sacra does the same with breast cancer. I'm going to leave this here so that you can read it for yourself. I think this is one of those, and I'm being a little bit careful for the simple reason that there are many people who are still very almost touchy about the use of frankincense essential oil in some of these things. Please do your research. Please make informed choices and informed decisions. That is all I will say about that as we proceed. So one of the ways, number one, we have already discovered for ourselves that doTERRA frankincense combines 4 frankincense species to give us a very unique synergy of frankincense. Now you can blend frankincense essential oils with other essential oils to give you even more benefits. And I've had for a long time that one of the best synergies, essential oil synergies there is today, is frankincense and myrrh. And I was very curious about it. And so I went into some research and I found, I have even listed the link of where I found this article from, that when you combine frankincense and myrrh, you get this very unique frankincense and myrrh compound. First of all, it's also important to note that myrrh is distilled from a resin as well. And God willing, in December 2024, I plan on doing a class on myrrh. We're going to explore myrrh and some of the benefits of myrrh, either December or October, but we're going to really spotlight myrrh essential oil. And what I found was that when you combine these two, what you get is a new synergistic anti-inflammatory compound, a new synergistic anti-analgesic compound. You get a new synergistic antibacterial compound, a new synergistic blood activating compound, and you get penetrating, promoting effect in vitro. What that does is it changes the conformation of lipid and keratin in the cuticle. I believe keratin is a protein and lipid is a fat. It increases the fluidity of lipid bilayer in cuticle, and it changes the orderly and dense structure. I think this is very, very fascinating. And this is something that you can begin to explore. So for skincare, for example, I would mix frankincense and myrrh and see what that does to my skin. This information here is very, very fascinating and useful, and it's something that I would explore and see what the effect would be. That said, you can also blend frankincense with herbaceous oils. And when we're doing the same workshop, the last workshop I had, we blended frankincense, and Spanish sage. And it gave us a very beautiful scent. And I came back later to diffuse it. And I felt like this was one of those blends that would be very useful if you were working, which also means frankincense and rosemary would kind of increase focus, because we already know rosemary is good for focus. So I would do frankincense and Spanish sage, or frankincense and rosemary. And it was also a very good rainy day diffuser blend. You can also do frankincense and eucalyptus for colds. You can do frankincense and lemon. So some of these things is just really a matter of experimenting and seeing the overall effect once you've done that. The other thing I found that was very interesting when I was researching on and preparing this class was there are very many doTERRA blends that incorporate frankincense. And I didn't have a proper revelation and understanding about it until I studied the benefits of frankincense. So the Balance blend is a grounding blend, and it is known for calming and relaxation. And of course, it would make sense then that frankincense would be added to a synergy for calming and grounding. Immortel contains florals, it contains helichrysum, it has lavender, it has chamomile, and then it has frankincense. And these are oils that are known for skincare. This is a skincare blend. It's a regenerative blend for your skin. And so adding frankincense, of course, that makes perfect sense, right? Then we've got the On Guard blend, and I believe, okay, we have the On Guard blend, and that is the protective blend. It has orange, eucalyptus, rosemary, cardamom, frankincense in it, and it's known for immune support. So it's, of course, as I look at the properties, the therapeutic properties of frankincense and the chemical composition, of course it made sense, therefore, that these frankincense would be an addition to these particular blends. And then we also have the In-Tune blend, which is the focus blend. And it would, again, it makes perfect sense because of its chemistry that frankincense would be included. These are just a few of the many. There are a couple others, but these are the ones that really jumped out at me when I was putting this class together. Then the question becomes, how do we use frankincense in everyday wellness? And the first way is just open the bottle and inhale directly from the bottle. Now, you would have to really be in tune with your body. And I'm saying that in the sense that you have to understand that on different days, because the human body is not static, at different days, especially for women, your reaction to an essential oil will be very different. So for me, at the particular class, I felt as if frankincense was a bit too much, almost repulsive. So direct inhalation for me was not an option. But for others, they smelt it and they really just immediately calmed down, or they immediately felt like they wanted to do some work. But what I found that worked for me was diffusing frankincense with, okay, I've gone ahead of myself. Let me just say that inhaling is an option, or you take a drop and put it on a handkerchief and have that around you. So what you're doing is you're allowing the essential oil molecules to interact directly, number one, with your limbic system, and to directly interact with the different systems. So for example, your respiratory system, your mucus system, it will just go where it's needed. So you can do that. The other thing is frankincense can be used as part of a restful wellness routine. So you can diffuse lavender and frankincense. If you find the smell of frankincense almost repulsive, you kind of want to tone it down with a different essential oil. So you can either take the Balance blend, which already has frankincense. And one of the things I found so interesting was there's one of the ladies there who smelled Balance and immediately picked out the frankincense. It was so interesting to watch it unfold, because she's like, what is this smell that I'm picking? And when she smelled frankincense and she smelled Siberian fir, because they have a similar chemical, a similar scent profile, she was like, I want Balance because it has because of the frankincense, because of that balsamic smell. So you can either diffuse a drop of frankincense with lavender, or you can either take the balance blend, which already has frankincense in it. You can also make an essential oil wellness tea by adding a drop of Frankie with lemon, hot water, and honey to sweeten. And I will say this about internal use of essential oils. If you don't know what you're doing, don't even attempt it. It's never that serious. There are so many other ways that you can begin to use essential oils that do not necessarily require you to use it internally. Or you can take the On Guard essential oil blend. Again, I will do a class on internal use of doTERRA essential oils, but if it is something that you're really skeptical about, don't be a ninja. It's never that serious. Then, of course, you can diffuse. And one of the ways for me, I find, to temper the very intense smell of frankincense is by diffusing it with other things. So I've already told you one of my favorite blends of late is frankincense and Spanish sage. You can also try frankincense and rosemary. You can also try frankincense and a citrus, or frankincense and a floral oil. And depending on how you mix them together, you will end up with you can end up with a scent profile that is a lot more pleasant while offering you a greater and enhanced therapeutic benefits. You can also do steam inhalation. But again, for this one, I would err on the side of less is more, especially if you would feel that frankincense is a little bit too much. And for me, it seems like frankincense is because I do have Frankie hydrosol. And when I'm steaming my face, I find it to be a little bit, it actually is a bit too much for me. But on the other hand, when my brother really loves the intensity of frankincense, for him, it seems to just really blend and go well with him. The other thing is you can do a scent tent, place drops on your hands, cup your hands together, just quickly have a scent break. You can do a massage, and the good thing of topical application of frankincense, it's renewing when applied topically. It's also a topical analgesic, so when you're feeling pain, you can also just quickly massage yourself. You can also make an essential oil rub, and then you can put in frankincense, say with eucalyptus if you want a respiratory rub, depending on what it is you want the rub to do. So you choose your essential oils based on purpose and need. Then you can also do a steam bath. Again, for me, I would have to really tamper frankincense down with different essential oils. So I would say frankincense, for example, and geranium for bath time. I would not use frankincense alone, just because for Brie, frankincense is a little bit intense. But if you're able to handle the intensity of frankincense, by all means, why not? So that brings me actually to the end of this exposition or class of frankincense. I hope that as we have gone through the different facets of frankincense, covering its chemistry, history, distillation, and even uses now, you have been able to appreciate why frankincense would acquire the reputation as the king of oils. I hope and I pray that you have been able to just connect the dots between the different, not the hype, but around the fascination that the world has had with frankincense. And I pray that you can see why it has its reputation as the king of oils. So join me in January. I'm really excited to do this class. We're going to be talking about fitness with essential oils. And one of the purposes of these classes really is to show you that essential oils can fit into so many spheres of wellness and fitness. We're going to be, because everybody would be having the goal or intention to be fit and to be fit for the year 2024 in January, and essential oils can kind of help you in that. I'm excited to unpack that class as well. So join me, God willing, on 6th January 2024 at 11 a.m. on my YouTube channel. The replay will be available shortly after, but I look forward to teaching this class. So if you want to get doTERRA essential oils into your home, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. if you just want a bottle of oil, you're saying, Brie, I want a specific oil, I want a bottle of frankincense, reach out to me. But you'd have to allow up to 3 weeks shipping time, and there's slight variations on that depending. If you want some options, reach out to me for a wellness consult where we can talk about your needs and I can suggest some essential oil pairings or combinations for you to try. And then if you're really serious about taking on a serious essential oils lifestyle with doTERRA, reach out to me and talk to me about getting your oils at 25% discount for the year, and we'll get you set up. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to join me on this class. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can send me a WhatsApp. May you have an enjoyable rest of 2023. May you have an enjoyable and blessed December. And we will catch up with you on the next class, which will be in January, God willing. God bless you guys. And thank you for hanging out with me for this. Let me see. Has it been an hour? For this hour or so. I'm just going to end that. And